Well, I make it 6 p.m. here in Normandy. Welcome back to Normandy with me, Patrick Hillier of Virtual D-Day and WeLoveNormandy.com. Great, I've got a Union flag in the background there behind me. And we're here on Utah Beach. Today we've visited Utah Beach before. Today we're going to look at Strongpoint 10, which is next door to where I am now. So it's a new tour for me on Virtual D-Day, although I've been here many times, and a new tour for those of you who've seen other virtual tours of mine a little bit further down the coast at Strongpoint 5. So thank you very much to everybody who's tuned in so far, and thank you to Robert of the Washington DC History and Culture for promoting today's tour. So we should have quite a few people from the United States tuning in today. Thank you very much for that. Thank you to all the people who have booked free tickets for this tour, and especially those who've paid a contribution ticket towards the tour as well, which is great. It helps me pay for the petrol or the gas in my vehicle. I should say a special thank you and shout out to my VIPs, that's my very important patrons. And the list gets longer and longer, but thank you very much indeed, Anne-Marie, as I know you've tuned in already, Ben, Jacqueline, Barb, Laurie, who's on vacation, she can't make it, but hi Laurie, Susan, Peter, Lisa, Brian, Vicky, and Sue. So thank you very much indeed, and thanks to all my other fan members and all the followers on the Facebook page for helping me make this project, this Virtual D-Day project, possible. We've been doing it now for well over a year, and I've lost count of the number of places we've visited, but today we're here on Utah Beach to look at Strongpoint 10. So what I'll do is I'll flick over to the main camera so you can see what it is we're looking at. I hope everything is coming through loud and clear, Rosie. Okay, good. So just to explain, my previous occasions I've had my wingman Brendan. Well, today I have my wing woman Rosie, who's back at HQ, relaying to me any questions or messages that people might want to send in. So if you do have a question, put it on the Facebook comment or on the chat with the chat facility on my website, and Rosie will relay that question to me. So we will start here at the Leclerc Memorial. We're going to have a look at there's so much stuff to see here at Strongpoint 10. You've got all these vehicles that form part of the Leclerc Memorial. You have some very, very well preserved bunkers in their sort of original condition, and you have the wrecks on the beach as well. So there's lots to show you over the next hour. This place, if you're looking for it on Google Maps, for example, it's in the area known as Saint-Martin de Varaville, the Dunes de Varaville, which is where we are now. And the place name of this tiny place is called Amottet, M-O-T-T-E-T. And it's just a couple of miles north along the coast, northwest along the coast from Strongpoint 5, where we've broadcast to you before, and where the D-Day Landing Museum is, and where all the tourists go. So here we will see very few people, and at the moment we're standing next to the M4 Sherman tank. What I'll probably do is go around the back here to try and cut down the wind noise a little bit. See if I can get some shelter here. Okay. Rosie's telling me there's no wind noise. Okay, well, that's great. But as you can probably see from my hair, I'm not able to wear my hat today because it keeps getting blown off. But yeah, it is a bit breezy here. So yeah, for those of you who've been on the virtual tour, or even indeed have been there in person to Strongpoint 5, where the first waves of the US 4th Infantry Division landed on Utah Beach at H-hour, 6:30 in the morning on the 6th of June 44, commanded by Brigadier General Teddy Roosevelt Jr. That's a couple of miles southeast from here, and we are basically on the edge of the right-hand end of the American invasion force, Task Force U, that landed here on D-Day. This position, Strongpoint 10, was captured on the 7th of June, and it's the bunkers and the wrecks that remain on the beach here really have stayed pretty much untouched since then, 77 years ago. The reason why there are the vehicles here, and I'll flick back around so you can see the vehicles, we're standing behind the M4 Sherman, and the reason that the vehicles are in French insignia, you can see there the symbol of the Free French Army above the name of the tank La Normandie, is because the French General Leclerc landed here on the 1st of August 1944 along with his 2nd Armoured Division. They had fought in North Africa, and they arrived on French soil on the 1st of August and then continued to fight through the Battle of Normandy, the closing of the Falaise Gap, and further into the east of France. They participated in the liberation of Paris, which is the anniversary of the liberation of Paris is today, so exactly 77 years ago to the day. This 2nd Armoured Division participated in the liberation of the French capital, and during their time in North Africa, in Libya, they participated in the Battle of Kufra. You can see that this M8 armoured car is named after the Battle of Kufra, and the infantrymen involved signed what they called the Pledge of Kufra, which was that they would continue to fight undaunted during the Second World War until the French flag was flying, the Free French flag was flying over Strasbourg Cathedral, all the way over in the east of France on the German border. Why am I telling you all this stuff? Because as well as participating in the liberation of Paris, they did indeed participate in the liberation of Strasbourg on the eastern frontier of France, and it was down to them that the French flag waved once again above the cathedral in Strasbourg. They also continued on into Germany, and I think somebody will maybe put me right on this, but I believe that the French 2nd Armoured Division were among the units that first captured the German town of Berchtesgaden, where Hitler's country HQ was located at the Berghof. So a very well celebrated unit, and today these vehicles remain here at Strongpoint 10 to commemorate their actions. You've got the little M8 armoured car and the M3 half-track armoured personnel carrier, and right here we have the Signal Monument. Again, I know if you've been on my virtual tours, we've seen several of these now, because there's one at St. Mary-Glise, there's two actually on Juno Beach, and obviously one on Omaha Beach, and several others, and this is the one on Utah Beach. This is the Signal Monument, one of several that was put up in the late 1940s and into the 1950s to commemorate the Battle of Normandy and the liberation of Normandy and France. And this particular one has the particularity that you have the bust of General Leclerc in bronze there. Okay, and from here it's just a very short walk to the beach itself. I know Rosie's telling me that there's no wind noise coming through, but I'd be surprised if you don't hear a little bit of turbulence now, because we're up on the dunes. Okay, so if for any reason we get a gap in the signal, if you've missed anything, just let me know, and I'll repeat what I just said. Maybe due to the turbulence here today, we might have a couple of 4G problems, but at the moment it seems to be okay. So, if you can still hear me, we're going to go down onto the beach and see the first of those echoes of the past that I like to bring you. This one is the remains of the causeway that allowed vehicles and personnel to come off the artificial or the temporary Gooseberry Harbour that was constructed here on Utah Beach. We'll talk a little bit more about the Gooseberry Harbour later, maybe. And you can see a photograph of the causeway as it was back in 1944 in the gallery on the WeLoveNormandy.com live page. So here it is. We're here at low tide. Over 20,000 troops of the 4th Infantry Division came ashore here on D-Day, a couple of miles to the south. Okay, so Rosie's telling me that we're losing the signal a little bit. I hope this is okay now. And as you can see, more people interested in the wrecks here. I do hope you're getting this. Okay, so if you're having a look, if you're watching this, or if you have the ability to look at the gallery on the WeLoveNormandy.com website, you'll see we're in exactly the same spot. This is the causeway that brought the vehicles and personnel from the Gooseberry Harbour and up onto the beach in the days and weeks following the initial invasion. There in the distance you can see the signal monument to General Leclerc, and have a look in the gallery. You'll see, I believe I've got a picture of the man himself, of General Leclerc coming ashore here on the causeway. Well, welcome back to Normandy with me, Patrick Hillier. This is Virtual D-Day from WeLoveNormandy.com. Apologies for that break in transmission. It's such a windy day here today on Utah Beach that I think the wind has affected the 4G signal. Maybe the 4G antenna is blowing around in the wind. But what I'm going to do now is take you through some of the things that I wanted to show you live, and I'll post this on Facebook later on this evening so that you can see some of the great things that are here on the beach and in the dunes at Strongpoint 10 on Utah Beach. So let's go. So just when the transmission problem started to arise, we were down there on the causeway of the Gooseberry Harbour, and the question that we had was, is that a gooseberry or a mulberry? And the mulberry harbours, the two enormous prefabricated artificial harbours that were installed on Omaha Beach and on at Arromanches in Gold Sector, they're the ones that people have seen. Certainly the one in Arromanches, a lot of which survives to this day, but it's not so widely known that on each of the other 5 D-Day beaches the Allies also created artificial temporary harbours called gooseberries, and these were made by sinking old cargo ships into the English Channel here just off the coast and linking them up with causeways like the one that you can see on the beach there. In fact, in the very far distance there, you may just be able to make out, see if I can zoom in, actually in the sea itself, the remains of some of those block ships known as corn cobs, deliberately sunk in the sea. So there you go. So on Utah Beach, on Juneau Beach and on Sword Beach, you had these artificial gooseberries that allowed supplies and ammunition, vehicles and personnel to come ashore safely following the invasion. Now there are 2 bunkers here, Strongpoint 10. Strongpoint 10 was taken by the 22nd Infantry Regiment, part of General Barton's 4th Infantry Division, the day after D-Day. And these two bunkers both housed a 4.7 centimetre anti-tank gun. The bunker on the left is an older design, a non-standard design, but they housed the same kind of gun. And the one on the right here, the standard Regal bow design, much more resilient, especially to fire from the sea. You can see that huge flanking wall there that stops any shells from the Allied navies from damaging the gun emplacement. And in fact, you can still see some echoes of the past here embedded in the facade of the bunker. You may just be able to make out that hole there, which is made by an armour-piercing round. You may just be able to see the rusted steel of the round still in place, probably fired from a tank, from an Allied tank on the beach here. And you can see some of the other damage that has been done to this gun emplacement. This one here, as I say, an older style gun emplacement, less well built. The subsidence in the dunes has caused this rather, well, what's that, about 20 degree tilt, and the flanking walls, which were added later, have separated from the main section. This wasn't caused by enemy shelling. So you can see all the bunkers are accessible. This is an escape hatch from the back of the anti-tank gun. Escape hatch there. We're going to take a walk along the top of the dunes up to the 75mm artillery piece. On the top of this one, you can still see the housing for the periscope that the artillery observers inside would use to spot enemy targets on the sea and indeed up and down the beach. And from here, it's a short walk along the dunes to the 75mm, past mortar pit ring stands like this one, and other fixed positions that would have contained smaller caliber artillery pieces like the 37mm, which I think this is one of. Would have had a tank turret. The hole itself has been concreted over, as you can see here now. So apologies to all my Facebook followers and Zoom platooners and the members of the website for today's live broadcast problems. I hope some of these images will give you a good idea of some of the things we were going to see. And if you're watching this now, it's after the event, and I will try to reschedule this tour as soon as possible, because as you can see, there's so much stuff here on the beach at Strongpoint 10 that more than enough to fill an hour's virtual tour. So I was going to tell everybody about the 22nd Infantry that stormed these positions after D-Day. Ernest Hemingway, the author Ernest Hemingway, attached himself to the 4th Infantry Division and I think the 22nd Infantry Regiment, and he himself participated in the liberation of Paris 77 years ago today. The guns here were known as Strongpoint or Resistance Nest 10 and 10A in some accounts. Others speak of this being a proper German Strongpoint or Stützpunkt Strongpoint 10. But as you can see, there's quite a lot of artillery here. This one has the 75mm gun, and again, like the smaller anti-tank bunker that we just visited, this one also has a bit of shrapnel remaining from probably a 75mm armour piercing round, and quite a lot of damage, as you can see, to the main structure. These huge vents here are part of the ventilation system to clear the gun casemate of fumes after discharging the weapon. Inside you've got ammunition stores to the left and the right, just like the bunkers on Omaha Beach, Strongpoint 62, which we visited recently. This was a 75mm field cannon, and so the gun's trail would dig into these grooves here and stop the gun from rolling all the way back into the casemate due to the recoil of the shell. And there you can see the view, the field of fire of the gun right across the beach. And what you can see there in the sand, and we'll go and have a quick look at that now, I think, is the remains of another one of the remains of the Gooseberry Harbour. At the top of this standard casemate you have an addition, an embellishment if you like, little machine gun position here. And at the risk of getting too much wind noise on the microphone, we'll go and have a quick look at the concrete beetle, part of the Pontoon Causeway that linked up to the Gooseberry Harbour out in the channel there. So again, if you're just watching this and you've missed the introduction, this is a recorded video of what should have been a live tour that we had to draw to a close prematurely this afternoon due to the poor 4G signal quality. So the live tour of Strongpoint 10 I will definitely reschedule at the first possible opportunity, and this video is just to give you an idea of some of the things that I was going to highlight and show you on the tour. As you can see, I'm practically the only person on the beach. Up ahead, the headland there is the town of Saint-Val-la-Hougue, and we're at the northern or northwestern end of Utah Beach, the far right flank of the Allied invasion force. And here it is. Let's see if I can give you a commentary. So this is a beetle. Getting back to what I was saying earlier about the difference between the Gooseberry Harbour and the Mulberry Harbour, the Gooseberry Harbour here was a temporary structure made from deliberately sunk block ships or cargo ships known as corn cobs that were out in the surf, in the channel, sorry. But the causeways that had to allow for traffic and personnel to come from the supply boats was supported by these things. They're called beetles, and they're concrete, but they float. And in between each beetle, you would have a span. Hello there. Hello there. You would have a span known as a whale. And if you've been or seen my previous tours on Omaha Beach, or if you've participated in the Zoom platoon at Arromanches, or indeed been to Arromanches, you'll have seen these whales. They are a structure, like a bridging structure that was supported by these beetles. I'll put a picture of one of those up on the Facebook page. So we can take a quick look inside. Looks like I've lost my little friend now. Mentioned that they are hollow, otherwise they wouldn't have been able to float. And as you can see here, we're looking inside one of the hollow cavities of the concrete beetle. Been here for 77 years. And you get a good view of the 75mm from here as well. And we're going to head back to the car park, to the parking lot now. And as I said earlier, I will reschedule a live tour from here in the very near future. These guys are D-Day enthusiasts. Bonjour. A little dog seems to be investigating the 75mm bunker. I shall have to be careful where I tread. So you can see that someone's painted a chameleon's face on the bunker there. It's kind of that kind of shape. What looks like the chameleon's mouth is just the foundation of the bunker, which has dropped over time due to the erosion of the dunes. It would have supported that buttress or that flanking wall above it, but the foundation itself has slipped and dropped. I think that dog's going to be in trouble. The structures that you can see out in the channel there are mussel beds. One of the main industries here is mussel production, and the dog belongs to what looks like the mussel farmer who's inspecting his mussel poles at the moment. And the mussels themselves you can buy locally, and indeed at the little restaurant on Utah Beach, the excellent Cafe Roosevelt, when you come and visit in person. So, make our way back towards the car. Again, if you've just tuned in, this is something of a stopgap to make up for the fact that the live tour today had to be cancelled due to poor 4G signal quality. But hopefully I've been able to show you some of the fascinating aspects of Strongpoint 10 here on Utah Beach. Might just be able to see the French and American flags there in the distance. We'll make our way back to the parking lot via some of the inland artillery expositions, one of which still has some of the original German compass bearing marks painted on the wall. And then it'll be time for me to join the Zoom platoon. Suffer the interrogation of my members, who'll be asking me why the live tour didn't go according to plan today. behind the dunes, which is very, very well preserved, almost like a little village. But before we do, I'll show you one thing in here, talking about the original instructions still painted on the walls of some of these things on the inside, a lot of graffiti from more recent times. But here we are in the 4.7 centimetre anti-tank gun enclosure. There's the field of fire, and just above the embrasure you might just be able to make out here the number 3,300, which is a German compass bearing. German compasses were graded in milligradians, 6,400 milligradians to a circle, and I'll be talking about that on the Zoom platoon later on. And that's one of the compass bearings there still left, and some marks here as well. Echoes of the past. Okay. And here we go to the bunkers that are just behind the beach. Some of these are ammunition stores. There's something which they call the canteen or the kitchen, and there's a mortar stand. But the mortar stand able to rain down mortar shells onto Allied troops arriving on the beach, had they done so on the day of D-Day. And this is what I say about the state of preservation of the site. It's really quite remarkable that nothing much has changed here over the past 77 years. Save for the fact that a lot of these structures were actually buried in the dunes, and when the story goes that when the local farmer disinterred this mortar position, he was a bit heavy-handed with the earth-moving equipment, and that's what caused its damage. Who knows? Perhaps it was damaged on when the 22nd Infantry Regiment came through here on the 7th of June 1944. And this one here, if we go inside, we'll get a glimpse again of some of the original markings on the walls. There you see the fixings for the mortar here, and here on the wall you can see some of the compass bearings. These ones using the more traditional 360 degrees to a circle compass bearings. There you have due west, that's 18 or 180 degrees. A little niches there for ammunition, for mortar ammunition. And a lot of this position has filled up, as you can see, with sand over the decades. Some people ask how these concrete structures are built. A lot of them we built using poured concrete and wooden shuttering or wooden formers, and you can still see, does that come through on the video? Yeah, you can still see there the grain of the wood from the wooden shutters that were used as a mould to pour the concrete into. Then the wood was taken away, and the print of the wood is left in the concrete surface of the bunker. Okay. Well, let me put the camera down here. So, yet again, apologies for the lack of the live tour today. We will try to reschedule that as soon as possible. If you click on the original live Facebook post, you'll see what happened in the first 5 or 10 minutes of the tour when we were down at the Leclerc Memorial. and you can see some of the military vehicles and the signal monument to General Leclerc. And I will try to reschedule the live tour, as I say, ASAP. So thank you very much indeed for bearing with us, and I'll see you next time on Virtual D-Day from We Love Normandy.